Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I have something really different. I've never done this before, but I pulled my really old GoPro out of retirement and I decided to do a GoPro kind of tack up and ride with me. So today, as you can see, the victim is Mr. Khal. He is who I'm riding today. Here's him saying hello to the vlog. So first job is to take him out and to give him a groom. Khal lives out in the field with the other horses, but I just had him in the stable for the for the ease of the video. And he also has a fly rug on usually, but I'd already taken that off. As you can see, he still kind of has a bit of his legs look like they're not clipped. So he still has a bit of his clip left, but his summer coat is almost coming out. He's shedding all that winter coat, so hopefully he'll have a nice full summer coat very, very soon. So I started off by picking out his feet. Because he lives out and it's quite dry, there isn't a lot of kind of dirt or anything in there, but it's always just good to check for any stones or anything like that. The horses are barefoot at the moment because they're not competing and they're only really being ridden at home and not in a huge amount of work because of the coronavirus. But when they start competing again, I will be putting a pair of shoes on them. I do like to keep them barefoot as much as possible because they live out and they like to lose their shoes quite a lot. So it is a bit more, well, it's more economical to have them barefoot. But when they do get in a lot of work and they're doing long hacks and stuff, it is nice to have shoes on. So the next step is I use my rubber curry comb just to curry him. I really put a lot of focus on this in the springtime to help them shed out their coat. It's also really good to do this over their back and everything like that to get kind of the blood flowing and to help warm up their muscles. He's really losing hair on his legs where he has his winter coat still, so that's why I do quite a bit on his leg, but I'm quite gentle because obviously his leg is quite a bony, delicate area, so it's nice to be a little bit more gentle there. I think he quite enjoys it. It's a little bit like a massage, especially over his bum. He quite likes the curry comb. Next, I use a soft body brush to brush off any kind of grease, any stray hairs, and all the dust that the curry comb has brought to the surface of his coat. I'm loving how shiny his coat is at the moment. It's really, really satisfying to brush him, and it's all lovely and shiny and it's great. I'm so glad winter is over when they're all wet and mucky and it's miserable to groom them in the winter. Next, I'm grabbing my mane comb to brush out his mane. I brush out his mane every day to help train it to stay on one side and help keep it flat and neat, but I won't brush out his tail because I like to only brush out their tail every so often because it kind of avoids pulling out too many hairs and leaving them with a thin tail. Whereas his mane, I don't mind if that gets a little bit thin because he has a really thick mane, so it needs a bit of a pull, but it's quite good at the moment, lying nice and flat. I also brush out his little fringe and to make him look all pretty for the video. So that's it for the grooming. Now I'm going to tack him up. I first put on his boots. These are just brushing boots because I'm only doing flat work on this day. I do like to always put boots on them just to protect them from either their leg hitting their other leg, or I'm doing some pull work, so it just protects them in case he hit a pull kind of hard or anything like that. Yeah, I always like to put a little bit of leg protection on them. Next I'm going to put my saddle on. Usually I put the bridle on first, but because he's tied up I'll do that last. So I have this lovely sheepskin girth from Lemieux. I really like this girth. I was looking for a girth that has a sheepskin already attached for quite a while. This is the cheapest one I could find. I also have just a numna and then a half pad on to help the saddle fit a little bit better, because I only have one saddle to fit all the horses. Ideally, if I won the lotto, I would have a custom fit saddle for all the horses, but alas, this is the best I can do for now. Here's the chickens to say hello to the video. They love being famous. They want to be the most famous chickens in the world, so they're always doing little cameos in my videos. So next up is the bridle. This is my Mackie Legend bridle, which I have to say is probably the nicest bridle I've ever owned. The leather is so soft, and it has a padded headpiece, and the noseband and brow band are lovely and soft and padded as well. So that is my bridle of choice for all the horses. Khal just goes in a simple snaffle with a French link, and that's it. I try to keep it as simple as possible, you know, no flashes, no breastplates or anything like that. The less tack the better, I think. So now I'm ready to go. I have my hat on already and my boots, so it's time to bring him out into the arena. So this blue block I use to get up on him. He is really well trained. He stands here and I put the reins over his head and he just parks himself there until I'm ready to get up. He's a really good boy. He's really quiet, which you will actually see later in the video when I'm doing my stretches with him. I've always wanted to video how relaxed he is when I untack him. I just let him wander around the yard with no head collar or anything on, so I finally got it on video. So now it's time to start my ride. I always start off with lots and lots of walk. I bend him to either direction. I make sure he's moving away from my leg. I just try to encourage him to stretch down as much as possible. The walk is really important, especially if you have a horse that's stabled, because if they go from standing in their stable for I don't know how many hours and then you hop on them, it's really important to warm them up nice and slowly. So here he's starting to stretch down. I'm bending him around my right leg now, so you can see there's a bend in his neck. I can just see his inside eye. That's kind of a way to gauge if the horse is bent just kind of enough, because you don't want to overbend them either. You don't want their nose touching your leg, but it's nice to just have a little bit of an inside bend. And then as I go across the diagonal now, I'm going to change to him bending to the left. And this is just making sure that he is supple in both directions, that he's listening to my leg, and that he's paying attention. So here now you can see his left inside eye as he just bends a little bit to the left. It's actually a really unique way to video. I'm kind of glad I did this. It's nice to look back on. So after I've walked him around a little bit, I head into the trot. The saddle makes a kind of a funny noise sometimes. It kind of sounds like I am whacking his back every time I sit down, but I swear I'm not. There's this little like bit of air in my saddle and it just goes like whoosh 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 every time I sit down. So yeah, I don't think I'm killing his back. I swear I'm not. So again, in the trot, at the start I just want to encourage him to stretch a little bit, and I'm just always changing direction. I'll never do a whole lap of trot without either doing a circle or changing direction or coming off the track. It's really important not to just stay on the track all the time. The horse will get a little bit bored. It also makes you kind of rely on the fence to help you keep them straight. you might find that when you have them off the track, you struggle to keep them off the track. They might always want to drift back towards the fence. So that's why it's it's important just to test that. So on this day, I had a little pull work exercise set up. So on the far side, there is about 5 or 6 trotting pulls, and then I have 3 canter pulls in a circle, and they are 4 strides apart. And then there's also a distance incorporated into that, which is also it's 5 strides, sorry. So the plan was to go over the trotting poles, go into canter on the left rein, go around the 3 canter poles in a circle, and then loop back around and shorten a stride and do it in 5 strides, and then go down the distance in 6 strides. That sounds really complicated, but I swear it'll make sense. And then I will also do it the opposite way, so I canter around the 3 poles and then go back into trot over the trotting poles, and then pick up the canter again and go down the line. So as you can kind of guess, it's all about transitions, getting him listening to me, because he can be a little bit lazy off the legs sometimes. So I've put in transitions, I've put in shortening and everything like that. So the first step is to do it all in trot. I like to do all my exercises in trot before I go into canter. I like to break it down a lot. I'll just do one part in canter then, and then I'll put it all together. So you can kind of go through the process with me in this GoPro. So here I went over the trotting poles, I went over the first canter pole, now I'm circling around, and then I'm circling around to the last one, so you can kind of get the gist of what I'm going to be doing. So I'll be doing that in the canter with 4 strides between each. So now I'm changing the rein, and I'm going to do it the other way around, just to kind of get him thinking what he's doing. It kind of gives the horse an idea as well. It will make your ride a lot easier when they've trotted over the pattern, because they kind of know what's coming up, and always kind of set yourself up for success. So here he's on the right rein going around the canter poles, but in trot obviously, and now we're going down the trotting poles. So with trotting poles, I do tend to stay in rising trot rather than go into jumping position. It's totally up to you guys. If your horse is a little bit tense, then sometimes going into a little half seat can really help going over trotting poles to help them relax. But again, it just all depends on the horse. So after I've done it all in trot and I'm happy with how he's feeling and how he's listening to me, I give him a little walk break, give him a pat, tell him he's a good boy, and then he gets a little break. So now he's had a little break and we're ready to try it in the canter. So as I was saying before, I still like to break it down quite a bit. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the canter pulls on a circle and on the distance first. I'm going to leave out the trotting pulls. So the first time I do it in the shorter strides, the 5 strides and the 6 strides down the distance. And this is because I find it easier to do the shorter strides first, because you can really take your time, you're not pushing them, you're not in any rush. It gives the horse more time to think about it, but that depends on what the horse prefers. So the first time I come around, I just do the distance first, and I do it in 6 strides, really calm, chilled out 6 strides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good, very nice and straight, and he was listening to me and he was soft in the mouth the whole time. So now I'm going to do the turning, the canter pulls on a circle. So again, I'm going to do it in 5 strides instead of 4. So landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I hope it's helpful for me to count, because I know it can be a little bit tricky, but I think this might be helpful for you guys that want to do more pull work and are trying to figure it out. So landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I was doing it on the more forward stride, and as you can see, the rhythm should stay the same, but the length of a stride should change. Landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, 4. So a little bit off that last pull, I need to move him forward. I did find throughout this exercise that he found it a lot easier to get the 4 strides on the right rein compared to the left rein. So that was really interesting, and it might be because he's a little bit more supple to the right, so that's why it's easier for him to move forward on the right rein. So it's just something to think about and something to work on. So now I am on the right rein and I'm going to first come down the distance. I think I actually do it in the normal 5 strides, like straight off the bat, because now he's warmed up, he's listening to me and he knows what he's doing. So we're coming now, go nice and wide and straight to the pole, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, landing 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully you can see from the GoPro that I look quite early towards my next pole, so it helps me get my good line. So now I'm doing the circle, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you can see, it's kind of maybe hard to tell in the GoPro, but he does find it quite a lot easier to make up that distance on the right rein. So again, it's something we'll work on. So now we are doing the whole exercise. So we trot over the trot poles, we get a nice canter transition while keeping straight. I look towards my next pole, I'm looking to do 4 strides now. Landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, well, maybe that's counted that wrong, but my bad. But basically I found it really long and he was getting a little bit off balance, so I said, okay, I'll just circle around, go down the distance anyway, and then I'll try it all again to try and put it all together. So again, you know, if it's not kind of coming together, if it's feeling a little bit out of control, don't worry, just come back to trot, start it again, take a little bit chunk at a time, and don't get too stressed about it. So off we go again, over the trotting poles, pick up the left lead canter, look towards our next pole, and we're looking to get 4 strides. Landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, 4. So I felt that was a lot nicer, so I continue around, and now I'm looking to get 5 strides and 6 strides. Landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we did that really well. I was delighted with him, so I gave him a little trot break and a pat, and we had a little walk before we tried it again on the right rein to do the whole thing backwards. So off we go, we're looking to do 4 and 4 here. So landing 1, 2, 3, 4, landing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to come around to our trot pole. We're going to get a nice straight transition back to the trot. Trying to get him relaxed as soon as possible to get over the trot poles really nicely. Now we're over the trot poles, we're looking to get a right lead canter, off we go. And now we're looking to get 6 strides and 5 strides, so the shorter distance. Landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, landing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really nice, really easy for him, and he was really good boy. So I always finish off then with a trot off and walk him off for quite a while, and I like to make sure that he's trotting and walking really long and low and stretching out all those muscles that he was just working, because especially when you're shortening them for these kind of like shorter distances, you know, it's quite hard on them and they're working a lot of muscles, so it's good to stretch them all out before you get off. When I get off, he always gives me, well, not always, but most times gives me a little like neigh, and you can't hear it on the camera, which I was so sad about. But yeah, he did. He was said, "Hey, how's it going?" So now I bring him back into the yard to untack him, and I'm going to do his stretches and everything like that, and then he gets a little feed before he goes back out to his friends in the field. So Khal is a really good boy, and so is Dali, so is all the horses really. It's something I kind of teach them, is just to stand when I tell them to. It's very, very handy for me because I take lots of photos of my horses, so I get to just tell them to stand and then they stand there and I take loads of photos of them. But it's also handy because I am always on my own in the yard, so you know, he just stands there while I'm untacking him. I mean, they don't have to tie them up all the time. Yeah, it's just really, really convenient. And I think it's just a good kind of knowledge for them to have, that they just stand, and then he's very relaxed, as you can see. So I pop off his bridle, and now we're going to go and get some treats to do his stretches. Also, I asked him to smile a few times in this video, and I'm pretty sure this video will be up before the trick training video, but there is a video coming very soon where I teach both Khal and Dali to smile, and you will have to wait and see who is smarter and who picks it up first. I'm not giving any hints.
What kind of face was that? Oh, you tired? You're tired. Come on, get some treats. Come on.
Yeah, so as you can see, as I was talking about earlier, he just follows me around. If I click and tell him to come, then he walks, and if I tell him to stay, he stays. He's like a little dog. He's very, very cute.
You are a good boy. Come on, bigger smile. Good. Come on.
So every time I ride, I do these stretches. I've definitely have them included in quite a few vlogs, but this is another angle for you to watch them. So I do these carrot stretches to the left and right, twice on each side, and I also do leg stretches, which I didn't get on GoPro because all the GoPro is just like the ground, because I have to bend down to pick up his legs, so it didn't look very good on the GoPro. But yeah, there's lots of videos of me that you can see me doing the stretches. I will leave a link to one of them in the little information box now.
Good.
But yeah, he's very good at them. He's been doing them since he was literally broken, so he's quite flexible. But it's actually, you can notice that he's a little bit less willing to bend to the left, which is what I picked up on when I was riding him, that he was circling better to the right over the poles. So it was really interesting to see that, and I'll definitely make sure I do maybe a few extra stretches on the left, just to try and counteract that and get him supple evenly.
Come on. What a good boy. Yes, you are.
So I waited a bit of time, I scare some of the chickens, and then I go and get his feed. So he gets fed 14% competition mix from Red Mills. I give him the 14%, which is slightly higher protein because he is he's quite lazy, and it just gives him a bit extra energy. I also give him the Foreign Muscle Max supplement, and I found that works wonders. Yeah, he was looking a little bit scrawny coming out of winter, and I'd used this before with him with great success, so I put him on it again, and yeah, he's looking great at the moment. So that is his feed of choice. So I give him that feed. You can see how shiny and everything he's looking. The chickens always try to run in and eat the feed, so I tell them no, and yeah, I just leave him to eat his feed, and then I put all my tack away. See, when he puts his head open the door and he drops some of those seeds, well, that's why the chickens are hanging around. They pick up every little crumb that he drops. They just love the horse feed so much. So now it's time to put him out in the field, back out to his friends. The horses live out 24/7. I'm really lucky to have the facilities that we have that allows that. It's such a great life for them. They just live out in their little herd, all the grass. And yeah, I love watching them out there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I quite enjoyed making it, so if you want to see more of these, then let me know. I think the quality wasn't too bad, although the audio wasn't great, so that's why I obviously did this voiceover. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and maybe during this quarantine time it gave you a little bit of your horsey fix, so it feels like you went to the yard even if you can't go to the yard. Here's a very cute picture of Khal. So yeah, anyway,
Come on.
make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.